Hi, everybody. Welcome to Conversations with the Council. I am Jenny Bowersfeld with Lacey's Public Affairs Department, and I am really grateful today to be joined by Mayor Andy Ryder.
Hey, everyone.
And Councilmember Michael Steadman.
Hello, everybody.
And we have a wonderful guest with us today, Keith Looker, who is the manager at our Lacey Veterans Services Hub.
Hello. First of all, it's a pleasure being invited here this afternoon with a conversation with the council. So I want to give you a little background about myself. So I'm from Chicago, and I grew up in the Midwest before joining the military. And so in 1982, I went ahead and joined the Army and spent 32 years serving my country. Initially came out to the Washington area in 1986. Me and my family were stationed here. And we've been kind of on and off in this area ever since. So we consider the Lacey area as part of our home. When I retired in 2014, I started doing a bunch of volunteer work. So I volunteered with the Rotary, the American Legion, work with Rebuilding Together Thurston County. And here recently I started with a program called Leaving the Sidelines. And so as part of my volunteer work, there came an opportunity when they started opening up the Lacey Veterans Service Hub, and they were looking for some volunteers to help in getting VA benefits. And so I volunteered to come in and work as part of that organization until 2017 when I was hired on to be the manager, and I've been here ever since.
That is great. First of all, thank you for your years of service, Keith. You have come in and just done a really wonderful job at our Veterans Services Hub. So thank you so much for all of the great work you've done. Lacey we're lucky. We have so many veterans in our community. So we thought that it would be really great to have a Conversations with the Council episode solely focused on the wonderful services that the Services Hub provides and what sets it apart from really anything that we have seen before in this area. And Mayor, I know that you've just been an integral part in making this come to life and see it through from the beginning. So I wanted to start out with you. If you can give a little bit of background for our viewers and listeners. I think that there's a lot of people that are still unfamiliar with the Services Hub. So I think it's really important that we get the word out as much as possible. So and if you want to start just giving a little background as far as where it started and how we got to where we are.
Well, there's not a lot of people who actually know the whole story of how the Lacey Veterans Services Hub came to be. And you really have to go back to right after I was first elected in 2010. I have a private business on Fort Lewis. I was the first public-private partnership there. And I opened up my business on Fort Lewis in 2004, beginning of 2005. And between 2005 and 2010, when I came onto the council, the JBLM, what became JBLM, was almost had doubled in size. And with all the new people, all the new service members coming to the area, they also started expanding a lot of services on Fort Lewis and on McCord. And so as a private business owner, I looked at this as, boy, this is really good for my business. However, when I put my council member hat on, one of the things I realized is, boy, there doesn't seem like to be a lot of coordination between what's going on the base and what's happening out in our communities. And so one of the first things I requested was to have a meeting with our then former city manager and the city manager of Lakewood to talk about what Lakewood knew, what was happening on Fort Lewis. And it was really sort of off limits. There was just zero communication. And so out of those early discussions, we actually formed what is now called the South Sound Military Communities Partnership. Lacey pitched in, Lakewood and some other government agencies and some private entities basically funded an executive director to start doing some research. And one of the first things that they did was produce a report that showed where all of our active duty military were living in the area. And lo and behold, we found out that there are more active duty military living in Lacey than any other jurisdiction in Western Washington.
Wow.
And so when you're sort of presented with that information, that your next thing you do is like, so what kind of services are we providing to our veterans? And come find out, there was no coordinated services being provided down here in Lacey. And then in October of 2011, my first cousin, who had lived with me all through high school, he signed up. He wanted to be an airborne ranger. He went through all that. He was stationed at Fort Lewis. He ended up committing suicide. And that really, of course, hit home, right? And it was devastating. And for me as an elected official, I always think of what could I have done? What services could I have directed into? What services are in the area, especially mental health services, for our veterans who have just gone through what's still the longest war in the history of the United States? And there's this whole new generation that's been affected so dramatically, and along with their families. And what we realized is there was no mental health services in Thurston County. It was all up in Tacoma and in Federal Way. And so we did what we thought we could do. Is City Manager Scott Spence by then and myself said, okay, we want a vet center down here in Lacey in particular. And so we went through that process of trying to prove to the federal government that there is a need. We had the data that was now provided by the Southside Military Communities Partnership. We actually went back to DC and met with the Veterans Administration, and we showed them all of our data. And at the end of the day, they said, sorry, Tacoma is just a couple miles north of you. You will never see mental health services in Lacey. It's not going to happen.
Wow. So we were told no first.
We were told no. Nope, not going to happen. It will never happen. Is what they told us. Wow. And it was really defeating, right? I mean, we came back from that trip thinking, man, we did everything we could. We had all of the data. We could prove there was a need. And so with being left with a no, we had to figure out, okay, what's the next step? If we're not going to get any help from the federal government, and our federal delegation was very supportive. Denny Heck, Maria Cantwell, Patty Murray, they were all in favor of seeing services down here in Thurston County. But there was just so many hoops to jump through, and the fact that they saw on a piece of paper that we were close to Tacoma. And when we all know how bad I-5 is, Tacoma miles will be in Portland. And so especially if you're a vet who needs services. And so around the same time, I started really working at the national level with a military communities peer networking group at the National League of Cities. And so I started asking other communities, I go, what are you doing for veteran services in your communities? And no one had a coordinated approach. Right. It just didn't exist. There were individual organizations that were providing services, but they didn't talk to each other. They weren't connected. And so we figured out, there has to be a better way. And that's really when Steve from the city of Lacey, we said, Steve, what do we do? He goes, well, let's see who are the service providers in Lacey and Thurston County. And come to find out, there are a lot of service providers, a ton of them. The problem is they just didn't talk to each other. They didn't coordinate. They didn't work together. And in some cases, they felt like there was a battle for resources, or a turf battle that was happening. And so what we came up with this idea. It's like, well, we have all these providers. What if we just offered them free space where they could come together and work together? And really what we wanted was some mental health services down here. And we didn't know how that was going to happen either. And so we said, well, we talked to with help from Denny Heck and our federal delegation, we were able to convince them to bring down some counselors if we can provide the space free of charge to them. And they finally agreed to that, okay, we'll send counselors down here to Lacey. And another thing that happened during this time was this, the South Puget Sound Community College bought a campus real close,
right?
And they had a building with space that they weren't using. Mm-hmm. And so it just, everything came together. And so we got a great sweetheart deal from them. And so in 2014, we opened up with some counselors coming down from the Vet Center from Tacoma and Federal Way. The Thurston County Veteran Services Fund was there from the get-go. And we just really started very small and with some other service providers who said, yeah, we're interested if you have space, and trying to come up with a way where we can bring all these great people together and provide services to veterans and their families.
That's amazing. I haven't even heard that whole story from the beginning. So thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
It's inspiring. I'm so glad that you and our city manager and our public affairs staff, I mean, so many people have just worked endlessly to make this happen. And I mean, the numbers prove it, which Keith will be he'll be going over later when we hear from him, just about how people have come out. I mean, they're coming from everywhere to come to our Lacey Veteran Services Hub because they can access all of those different services in one spot. They can come into one location and receive help with housing or with financial or food. There's just so many different services that they're able to access. So it's such a great resource.
And this whole idea of this collective impact of having all the services in one place, it just came out of, of good things happen when you put great people together that put veterans first. And that's what happened here. We had no idea what we were doing at the beginning. We weren't sure quite how to do it. What we did realize though is that someone had to take the lead. It wasn't just going to happen on its own. We thought maybe at the beginning that we'd have a nonprofit try to pull all this together, and we just realized that wasn't going to happen. You have to have someone like local government setting the example and sort of leading the way on what needs to happen. And that's where Lacey really was the first jurisdiction I know of in the United States that pulled this concept together. And so we have been recognized for this innovation, and other cities are now wanting to replicate what we've done in Lacey, not only in Washington State, but across the United States. They've seen how successful we've been with the resources that we have. And at the end of the day, it's all about putting veterans and their families first. And if you do that, all the other details can be worked out. Yeah.
Can you share with us a little bit? We got some really exciting news just not long ago. We got to push that information out. We sent out a press release earlier, but we were awarded and recognized an award from Association of Washington Cities. So do you want to just share a little bit about that?
Yeah, we received a Municipal Excellence Award. They only give about 5 of these awards out in a year, and it really goes to cities that use innovation and providing services, and it's a great honor to be recognized by AWC. We have actually we have been recognized by the National League of Cities. We've actually have had conversations with the White House about this model as well. They've heard about what we're doing at the city of Lacey, and so when good things happen, sometimes you get rewarded for it. And all I care about when it comes to this award is that people hear what we're doing. And if you're a veteran who needs help, who maybe have given up on trying to receive help, please come to the Lacey Veteran Services Hub, and we'll do what we can to get you the services that you have earned.
Absolutely. I think it's just tremendous that, like you said, you saw the data, how many veterans live in Lacey, and you took action. You felt that, sense of responsibility to, as a elected official, to really connect with that community and support them in a big way. We have what is it over? Is it 32,000 veterans living in Lacey or in Thurston County?
Within Thurston County.
Thurston County.
Yeah, in Thurston County, and of course we have quite a few veterans living in Lacey, and what breaks my heart is when you look at the suicide rate of veterans too, and like I said, that is one of the things that really motivated me to make sure we have mental health services. And what's so crazy is, the VA went from saying it's never going to happen until now. Here we are going into what is now phase 3. Phase 1 was in 2014. We opened up with just 1,200 square feet. In 2016, we went to 4,500 square feet. And now we're going to phase 3, which is expanding to 8,000 square feet for the Veteran Services Hub. And along with that, we have become a full veteran center outpost. So we have our own staff. We're not taking staff from Federal Way in Tacoma anymore. And we have our own staff and dedicated resources right here. So we went from that's never going to happen, in 2013, 2014 to where we're at now with a full veterans station. So it's been a great, great story.
That is fantastic. Thank you, Mayor. Councilmember Steadman, I wanted to hear from you as well. I know that you're a veteran, and I know that you share a passion for this center as well. So I wanted to hear a little bit just from you and how you feel the Veterans Club is special.
Yeah, it is very special, very special. My big thing is awareness. Like the mayor mentioned, all the providers that we have here in Thurston County, 80 in fact serve veterans directly, 70 of which are at the Lacey Veteran Service Hub. It's hard enough to get me to go to the hospital. I have to have like a compound fracture or something like that. And still you have to drag me out the door and get me there. Well, it's compounded when you're a veteran, whether you're a female or a male serving in whatever branch. You're used to helping people, not needing the help. And I don't like to call it help, because these are all services that were earned and paid for by their service to their country.
Right.
But Keith can contest to the hurry up and wait thing. Well, if you call up the VA to get some help with a bad knee because you're airborne, and you have to wait 3 months to get an appointment, and then you fight to get transportation to get there, and a lot of times you can't afford to just be retired on your military pay, so you're working a part-time job, and there's a lot of challenges is what I'm getting at. And this eliminates a lot of them. You don't have to go to Seattle for one thing, and then Lakewood for another, Centralia for another. You don't have to call up 8 friends to try to get rides, and then talk to your boss to try to get time off or whatever. This is a one-stop shop, and you can get all these services provided, and so that it lowers that frustration level. And I think it's really key, especially when you're talking about important issues like suicide, where hey, that can't wait an hour or 6 weeks. If you need help, it's hard enough to get a veteran, let alone most people, to admit that, hey, there's something wrong, I need to look into this. Can someone get me from A to B, help me get there, or assist me getting there? And then you're hitting roadblocks, and then pretty soon you're like, no one cares, and that is not Lacey, and the mayor told everybody, we didn't take no for an answer, because these men and women are way too important to us. And so we're not taking no for an answer. We're going to get it done. We're not going to play it politically safe. And we're going to put the veterans, like the mayor said, first. And it's really special. I mean, that's the special part about it. And we could show not just regionally, but statewide and nationally how it can be done, and how you can complement the services of a big VA, or housing, a nonprofit that provides housing, that and bring it all together and get them to cooperate and work and talk together and make it easiest on the people you're trying to help the most.
Absolutely. I would be curious to know if either one of you have come in contact with anybody that has actually utilized the Veterans Hub, friends or in your circle of influence, and just what that feedback has been like.
Oh my goodness, all the time, and we're such a veteran community, and so I constantly run into veterans who need help and who I've referred. Many I've referred to the Veterans Hub, and it's a tough conversation sometimes to have, because you can see the pride they have. They just don't. They're hurting, or something's been bothering for a long time, and they just have never taken that step. And it's so hard to get them to just show up, you know. And before, when they had to show up and were told no, or nope, you had to go over here, or good luck, you know. You can see why so many people weren't accessing the benefits that they've earned. And so
Can I add one thing real quick before I forget,
sure.
Andy?
Yep.
Is camaraderie, you know, because usually they'd be able to lean on each other, and talk to each other, help each other through it, and then all of a sudden you're disconnected, right? You get out of service, and now your network that you knew is no longer there. Well, they're there, but they're not as readily available because you're not with them every single day. And it's only compounded by guys like Keith that, you know, put almost 30 years in, you know, special forces community, and it just gets even more and more so. And then, bam, you're in the civilian world, and you're going, okay, now I know if I don't have all the answers, I could get a lot of them from my buddies, you know, that camaraderie thing. So it's important that people know that,
and that's what
void needs to be filled.
That's what's been so amazing about the Veteran Services Hub. We haven't done a lot of advertising because it's all been word of mouth.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, the people who have shown up there have given up. Well, there's been a lot of people who've just given up, and I've convinced them, you know, just please go. Just go to the intake. Just give me an hour, you know, and it's changed their lives. And
it's
why we do
the
that.
director is a veteran, and you know, dozens of volunteers, veterans helping veterans, you know, just like the camaraderie you got when you're on active duty, you know, or still serving. So it's pretty special.
Yep, it absolutely is. Keith, I would love to bring you into this conversation and hear from you. Like the mayor mentioned, we are moving into phase 3 of this Lacey Veteran Services Hub. We are underway with an expansion project that's going to expand that space to 8,000 square feet. So I wanted to hear from you a little bit to hear how we got to that place of need. Obviously, as the mayor and Councilmember Steadman have been mentioning, this thing is just taken off. And so, Keith, I'd like to hear from you a little bit to get some more information.
Sure, yeah, and as Andy had initially mentioned, we started out, we were located on the South Puget Sound campus here in Lacey. At that time, we had the vet center was here, and then we had about 6 offices and a classroom that we were using for the hub facility. At that time, when we started out, we had about 20 service providers. Since that time, now we've built it up where we're starting. Just in 2019, we had over 7,000 appointments of veterans that came in looking for different services. And as you can see, they kind of range the whole gambit. We actually have the 9 programs that we currently provide there on site. So the need, it was obvious that we had a need as more service providers kept coming in, that we needed to increase our footprint and go into a larger space. Another event that ended up happening was that the vet center that was there was recognized and advanced as an outstation, which meant that they were authorized to have more counselors based off the number of clients that they were getting in. So they also needed to do an expansion, so they required more space. So the decision was made that we're going to go ahead and we were going to take over the whole building that we're at. So we moved across the street. We're now located at 420 Golf Club Drive Southeast, which is basically right across the street from where our old office was at. Yeah. And so we're going to be there until they finish the construction on our building. So like you said, so we had these five pillars that we were working on. In addition to that, we had added some minor programs that included legal assistance, transportation, and some financial assistance in there. As the providers keep going, so we went from 20 till now we're over 70 partners that we have on site. Some of them are there on a permanent basis, and then some of them come in and just use facilities either once a week or once a month. Some of the highlight ones is, of course, we have the Thurston County Veterans Assistance Fund that has been working there, and they've been there since the beginning. We have a WorkSource that maintains an office there full time. We have several housing programs, including the VA housing office that operates out of there. And then we have veteran service officers from both the American Legion and Disabled American Veterans, which are there providing service 5 days a week.
I mean, this is an impressive list.
Yeah.
It truly is. The fact that all of these different organizations want to be a part of this is so inspiring.
Yeah, and the list keeps getting bigger. We're contacted by different organizations. Some of the new ones that we brought on are actually even from the East Coast that they had heard about us and wanted to get involved as we expand this network out.
Wow.
So as the new building goes in, so we had the top floor of the building that we're in. As part of that expansion, we're actually going to take over the first floor, which will bump us up from 6 offices that will now have about 16 offices that we can get more services on site on a regular basis.
Wow.
Which will improve our ability to provide better support to the veterans in the community here. And then on the second floor, the Vet Center will be doing their expansion. So they'll be getting some more offices up there for additional counselors. And we're still going to maintain that classroom that we use for several different purposes for classes. We do music groups and yoga and other activities in that facility. So that was an important part of the services that we provide. So we're going to make sure we keep that going. What's interesting in that is that we've been able to do this. It's always been the goal of the city to keep this as a community event. And so we rely a lot on the community support, which means that we rely on volunteers to help run most of the services there. We currently have 1 full-time employee and 1 part-time employee that provides assistance there. And the rest of it is right now I have about 41 volunteers who come in and either help with running our front desk, navigating the veterans and their family members through the different services there, driving our van to make sure that they have transportation up to American Lake. And partially was it during the COVID because some of the appointments, we had some free time with the van. We also partnered with a Thurston County food bank. And so we've been helping deliver food to families throughout the community that weren't able to make it out to the food bank to get food.
That is amazing.
So we kind of have expanded that service also. Keith,
are most of the volunteers, are they veterans or is it a mix?
It's a mix. We had some that, of course, are veterans. We've had a lot of members in the community that just wanted to help out. And so, everyone's welcome that would like to come down there. We can always find use for your skill set.
And if I may ask just one other question, can you give just a brief overview of what, if somebody needed to access services, what could they expect when they come in through the doors? What does that process look like?
Okay. So when they come in, initially they'll go to our front desk, and our volunteer there will help them sign in and fill out all the paperwork we need to get them into the system there for services. At that time, they'll sit down with one of our navigators who will talk with them to find out what their exact needs are and kind of help them system make sure they get to all the different service providers that are there. One of the things we always try to do is what we call the warm handoff, where we give them from a live body to a live body. So, we're making sure they get all the services that they need. And then when they get done, they come out. And we always make sure that, they're satisfied with the service they got. If they have any questions or need additional services, that they're scheduled to come back and see the different providers that they need. So we make sure that we cover all things that all the needs that they would have.
I think that's really important that, they're greeted with an actual person when they come in, as opposed to having just a phone number to call where they have to navigate through, lots of different options and automated voices and things like that. But when somebody is feeling the need for help, I think it's so important that they are able to walk in and, like you said, a warm handoff. Like they're greeted, with a friendly smile, made to feel welcome, and they are immediately connected with somebody who can actually help them and get them pointed in the right direction. And they're continued to be, handed off to the right people and actually being able to speak with somebody face to face. I think that plays such a huge role in the success of this model.
And the volunteers have been doing a great job. So one of the funny things Andy had mentioned, the fact that we really don't advertise and rely on word of mouth. Mm-hmm. In many cases, when they walk in the door, they already have our names and say, hey, I want to speak with Shane, or I want to speak with Keith, or hey, these are, I was told I come and get these services. So they know exactly what they're looking for when they come in for the most part. Yeah.
Well, and that just means that you guys are doing a great job.
Yeah. Well, do you want to talk a little bit about the economic impact of the Veterans Hub, Keith?
Yeah, so probably our biggest impact we had is with our VA benefits program. And so what that is, we help the veterans file their claims, work on appeals, or get other benefits, caregiver support. So in 2019 or 2018, we had brought, just in that 1 year, $1.75 million into money back into Thurston County in either direct pay or back pay that these veterans were through. And those services have grown drastically in 2019. So I'm sure when we get the numbers for that, we'll probably well surpass that $2 million mark.
Wow.
For that year.
So it's doing the right thing for veterans, for benefits they've earned, and it's also been great for our Thurston County economy. And so it's been a win-win. And all this based on basically the federal government telling us no. I mean, it's interesting going back and thinking, what would have happened if if they would have brought a vet center down to Lacey, back 8 years ago when we first started, inquiring about all this. Maybe the hub concept never would have came to be, but it was really through innovation to saying, okay, there's still this huge, tremendous need. How are we going to fill it? And we filled it through law, sweat equity, having great partners with Thurston County and the SPSCC. And all the amazing volunteers. I mean, he said this, we couldn't run the hub without the 41 volunteers that are doing all this work for our veterans. And so a big shout out to them. It means so much to us, all the work that you guys do and the lives you're changing, in our community. So thank you so much from my heart for all the volunteers that make this happen.
If I can, I just want to touch base on what you just talked about, Mayor. And me and my two brothers grew up with Marine influence in our lives. Our brother-in-law, who's married to our sister, was a drill instructor in the Marine Corps. He was a force recon guy. He did a couple tours in Vietnam. And same with our family friend, Emilio. And he was from the Navajo tribe down in Arizona and moved to the Bay Area and became really good, family to us. And so obviously they had great influence in my family. All three of us joined the Marine Corps. Poor dad was, Army guy. So, but, they used to talk about no one ever said thanks, and they try to act like it didn't bother them or anything like that. And through the decades, we started saying thanks more and showing appreciation. This is showing thanks. I tell people saying thanks is great. Showing thanks saves lives. It really does, So it's really special what we're doing here in Lacey, and we're making a real example regionally, state, and nationally. And I can really see this blowing up and being in every state of the union and giving those needed services to the ones that need them the most, that earn them the most. So, hey, it wouldn't have happened without you and everybody else getting on board and not taking no for an answer. And that's showing things. That's saving lives. And that's awesome. So.
Yeah, it's also been really encouraging to see the support from our community. We get donations that come in to support the Veterans Hub. We have held 2 mayor's galas that are 100% fundraiser for the Lacey Veteran Services Hub, which were both just a great success. I think the first year, if I remember right, I think we raised $30,000, and then the second year we raised $35,000. So, and this is our business community. This is residents, veterans, everybody, just the whole gamut came. And I mean, both events were maxed out at capacity, and people were very generous with their donations. It was, a fun night, bringing awareness. We had wonderful speakers and some touching testimonials from people who have utilized the services of the Lacey Veteran Services Hub. So I'm sure the mayor can speak to that too, because that, I think, was his idea. And so again, that's just, the community supports this too, which is really exciting to see.
Well, and I mean, I really want to thank the entire council. Yeah. At the beginning, this might have been, myself and Scott Spence, and Steve sort of putting our heads together, trying to figure out how we make this happen. But every single time we've gone to the council for support, they've always given it 100% without question. And that's one of the things I just love about Lacey is the support for our veterans community. It's not just coming from myself or Councilmember Steadman. It's the entire council has come together and has, anytime we've ever asked for something, they've always said, yes, how can we make it happen? And I also want to thank, the state for stepping up. This is a huge remodel, going from this old, 1980s, early 80s building that we've been using from the Southtown Community College to this, what will be a great new op space, and not only did we get, some money from the federal government to help with the interior of the vet center's portion of this, but we got, a $2 million grant from the state to do all the exterior work. Yeah. And so, I want to thank, of course, our local representatives as picking this up, and not only from LD22, but LD20. They stepped up and were very supportive of this because of, so many veterans live within LD20 as well, and they're using the Veteran Services Hub. So we've had universal support on this from the city council level, from the state level, all the way to the federal level, and it took all of those entities coming together to really make this happen, and the proof is all the people we've helped.
Yeah. Keith, can you touch on some contact information I know that we have a slide that shows some contact information that people can write down, but if you want to go over that really quick, and then we'll get to a few questions that have come in.
Sure. So our mailing address is still the same. It's 4232 6th Avenue Southeast, Suite 202. So we have any mail or any documents or anything that you want to send us, you can send to that. Our telephone number is stayed the same. It's 360-456-3850. You can reach us by email at info@laceyveteranshub.org. We also have a website and a Facebook page. You can go to either one of those, and we post all the events and all the important information that we receive that we want to try to get out to the veterans.
Great.
On those 2 sites there.
Keith, is the phone number remaining the same in the move? Yes,
that's the same phone number. Yep.
Perfect. Wonderful. Should we get to a few questions? I'm looking at them, and there's some important ones to touch on that I think are great questions. So let's see, we'll just start with this. Do you have to live in Thurston County to get services at the hub?
No. So, we were focusing initially that we thought that was going to be our primary area that we would get veterans coming in. But no, we serve any veteran that walks in the door. So they come all the way down from Bellingham and all the way up from Portland looking for services here. So
wow.
Yeah, they call me from Spokane, and so yeah, if you reach out to us, we'll do everything we can to get you the help that you need.
I just think that that speaks volumes to the work that you're doing. The people are coming, like driving from Bellingham and Portland and calling from across the state to get help. So again, Keith, you guys are doing some awesome work there. So thank you so
They're
much.
actually asking me if I'm going to go and start a satellite in Spokane.
Really?
Well, it also goes to show you how difficult it is to access services, right? Yeah. I mean, we're having people coming from all across Washington State to Lacey, Washington, because we figured it out. Yeah, we do need other veteran hubs in other cities. I think we need a veterans hub in most cities across the United States. So, and I know Keith has been a lot of help with people inquiring, other cities inquiring about how we get started as well.
That's great. Keith, if you could touch on, there's a question that says, is there a charge for services? And then they're also asking, what are the hours of operation in the temporary location during the remodel?
Okay, so no, everything that we do there is free of charge. So if you're an organization that actually charges for services, we don't allow them to come into the hub. So veterans and their families can come in there and get anything they want, whether it's going through yoga classes or whatever service that they need. And our hours have remained the same. So we're open Monday through Friday from 8 to 4.
Oh, okay.
So they can come in and get any services that they need during that time frame.
Great. And when will the remodeled hub reopen?
I think it's scheduled right now that we're looking at the beginning of January. We're going to be moved into our new facility again and be operational. Great. So we'll keep everyone informed as it moves along, but that's the plan date right now.
Great.
That's a knock on wood day.
It is, I know. Well, and of course, we're coming into fall and winter. So there are two questions asking really if they want to become a volunteer, how do they do that? Who do they contact?
Okay. So all they have to do is just come in and let us know that they want to be a volunteer. They can email us and we'll reach out back to them again. But yeah, so we'll come in, there's an application that they have to fill out. We'll sit down and talk to them about the different opportunities to see which ones they're interested in. And then we'll go ahead and put them on the schedule and train them up and let them start volunteering down there.
Awesome. We have two more. Can homeless veterans also access services?
Yes. So that was actually one of the primary services that the hub started out was the problems they wanted to try to tackle. So we still have coordinated entry there. We have several federal, state, and local organizations that help with homelessness. So they reach out to us. We can go ahead and get them into the coordinated entry process and get them talking to the providers to help get them in the homes.
Wonderful.
Yeah, that really was extremely important, and also obviously very heartbreaking to know that there's veterans on the streets. And this was something that even at the national level, there's a big push, and actually it's been one of the success stories I believe when it comes from the federal government to the state and local governments of how much progress we've made on helping homeless veterans. It is the one area that we've had some pretty much universal support on. And in the Lacey Veteran Services Hub have taken veterans off the streets. If it wasn't for the hub, I think it was last year where it was almost 1,000 veterans that we helped with housing. And so that's been a huge important aspect of this. When you're early on, when we're thinking about, okay, what are the things that we want to focus on? We want to focus on, of course, mental health. We want to focus on and we want to focus on housing. And that's where a lot of the thought process was early on. If we can get those two things squared away, we have done great things. But out of just those bringing organizations together, we realized, oh, well, we can also help you with nutrition. We can also help you find a job. That was the other big thing is the help that we've had with the Economic Development Council that is right next door. There are all these transitioning veterans coming out of Joint Base Lewis McChord. Now what are you going to do with your life? Well, now we've had programs that you go through the Veterans Services Hub, and we get you on job training, and get you back on going to school. There's all these things that have really changed the lives of so many different people. And who knows what would happen if we didn't have the hub, you know.
Mayor, also, we're going to learn a lot of lessons with this. You know, when we say a veteran homeless, there's no stigmatism attached to it, you know. But then people don't think about 1,000 kids in the North Thurston area that are homeless as well, that, you know, have value and worth. And so, you know, we can learn a lot by what we're doing at the Veterans Service Hub and how to help other people too. Our children are just as important as our veterans, you know, and everybody has value and worth. So, you know, we should leave these stigmatisms and these you know, preconceived thoughts of what we have when it comes to homelessness or whatever the issue is, and just deal with the issue, because it's real life people we're talking about. But you know what? Love our veterans, man, and I'm glad we're doing it. And
yeah, and you're absolutely right, Michael, is that we have learned. When you realize when you can get organizations working together under one roof for the benefit of the person that is receiving the services, great things can happen. And so we've seen this at the North Thurston Public Schools. You know, we see the success we've had with the Lacey Veteran Services Hub. And now we have the Family Resource Center at North Thurston Public Schools, which is basically modeling after what we've done with the Veteran Services Hub. You know, having all the providers to help kids under one roof. And so, yeah, there are lessons learned. I do love working on veteran issues, because it is really sort of one of the last issues out there that there's no politics involved, right? Everyone supports veterans no matter what. And that's
looking for a solution. That's it.
Yeah, they're looking for a solution. And so that's why I love working on veterans issues, is because you don't have to deal with the politics. Everyone's on board.
Yeah.
I can tell you both are very passionate about it, and I love that. Keith, just a couple more questions. Somebody's asking if you're conducting in-person meetings during the pandemic, or is it by phone or other means?
Yeah, so it's both. So yeah, of course, when this whole thing started, is that you know, a lot of the offices went to teleservice. So we felt that it was kind of crucial that the veterans still had one location they could go to and link up these services. So we kept the hub open during the whole time. And so when veterans have still been coming in, looking for all these resources. So some are actually, you know, over the telephone. Some are in person because it requires a face-to-face contact, like our food bank program where we're giving out food. And others, we initially had started a teleservice prior to the COVID occurring. And so we expanded that. And so we're using that we can work with veterans through video instead of actually, if they're not comfortable with actually coming in and seeing someone. And even during this crisis, you know, that some of the needs have changed a little bit, but they're still the same basic needs. So we're still putting people into housing. We're still getting them into employment and helping them out financially. One of the big things that we were really concerned about was everyone being isolated in their facilities was mental health. So we got with the director of the WDVA, Alfie, and we've been working with them hand in hand, trying to come up with some programs to make sure that these veterans are safe and have something, an outlet, so they, you know, stay healthy during this whole process.
Great.
Yeah, big shout out to Alfie. Thank you, Alfie, for all you do.
Yeah.
Alfie.
Absolutely. So the final question is asking, where does the van service go? So can you give a little bit more detail on that program?
Yeah, so the van, actually, we start our route in the morning at Tumwater Square. The reason why we selected that is that there was a van service through Intercity Transit that covers all the southern part of Thurston County. And so most of the van routes terminated right there at Tumwater Square. So we start there in the morning, we pick up all the veterans that use those services, and we bring them up to the hub in case they want it for services here at the hub. And then follow on that we take those that need up to the VA hospital in American Lake so they can do their medical appointments. And then when they're all done, then we turn around and bring them all back home again.
That is such a tremendous service that you guys are providing. That's amazing. And we actually got that van donated to us from Intercity Transit, didn't we?
Yes, it was. It was a grant they gave us so we could use that van to provide this service.
That's awesome. Just another example of some amazing community partners that we have that just support our veterans and what we're trying to do here for Thurston County. So that's fantastic. Well, that is all. Sorry, go ahead, Mayor.
The other thing I just want to say is, if you think about all these veterans that we've helped, not only in Lacey, but really across, Washington State, and through our actions through the hub, other collective impact models for veterans have come up across the United States. We've all done this with Lacey general fund dollars. It's been the city of Lacey that has stepped up to provide the financial assistance needed to pay our 1.5 employees to get this done. Yes, over the past couple of years, finally the county did step up and is helping us with some rent there at the hub. But for many years it's been Lacey, floating the bill here, and not just to help our Lacey veterans, but they have helped veterans, of course, from all over the place. And so, again, I just want to say how important it is and how proud I am of this council for the support that they've given on the hub. Really coming off of this idea of being told no and not giving up until all of these people that we've helped, and we've done it with our own dollars, and so it's really special. It's all the things that I've been involved in as the mayor. I could say by far this is what I'm most proud of, for sure.
I just wanted to say real quick, if you're a veteran out there, you're never alone, ever. There's people like Alfie and Keith, the mayor, that care about you. And if it's something little as in upgrading your disability through the VA, American Legion can help you with that. There's so many different things out there for you and benefits that aren't being used by veterans for whatever reason. But those are benefits that you earned, that you deserve, that are supposed to make your life a little bit easier. That life's hard enough as it is, especially if you think you're in it, you're going about it by yourself, but you're not. There's people out there that care about you. There's services out there you deserve and earned, and we're here to help you navigate through all that. So,
yeah. Thank
you for that, Michael. That was an important comment there. Thank you to all of you. Keith, again, the work you guys are doing, you and the volunteers, is priceless. So thank you for all the time and energy that you put towards this to support our veterans. Thank you for your service. Same to you, Michael. And just thank you all for your time and everything that you do to support our veterans in the community. So yeah, I feel like this was some great information that was shared. And if there are some community members out there, veterans who are looking for services, I definitely encourage you to reach out to the hub, or you can contact the City of Lacey. We would be happy to put you in contact with Keith and his volunteers. So I encourage you to do that. Those of you who are watching who aren't veterans and you have friends who are or know anybody who are, please help spread the word. As you've learned, I mean, people are finding out this great resource that we have, but definitely share this with your friends and family, and share the video. It'll be on our Facebook page and our YouTube channel. So thank you so much for joining us today, and we will see you next time.
See you, everyone.
Bye, guys.